Good afternoon, Tom Johnson, along with our mayor, Alex Rounaghi. Alex, great to see you as always for a little
Great to be
fair
here, Tom.
game, Laguna. So you were gone, I know, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. But while you were gone, a great thing happened in town, and that was our firefighters returned from their firefights up in the LA area. And they came home to kind of a hero's welcome, from what I understand. I was not there, but the police escorted them into town. And I know you weren't there, but it had to make you feel good.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it really shows how much our town respects our firefighters and how critical they are to our livelihoods. They literally are willing to put their lives on the line to protect us. And I was in touch with Pat Carey, one of the firefighters who was up there throughout the time he was up there. Then, as you know, we visited him
Sure.
along with Chief King and the city manager, and so I think it just you can't understate their bravery and the work that not only the two engines that went up, but all the firefighters who are in town protecting us as we've dealt with these dangerous conditions. So it's a very proud moment for all of us in Laguna Beach.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point. It's yes, we send off two groups of people or six people up there, whatever it was, and they go up to fight the fires. But also we have the ones that stay behind that are watching over our town,
Yep,
and they're equally on point. They're equally responsible for doing a job down here. So it's really a department-wide thank you for what everybody did.
absolutely. And I would have been there if I weren't in DC. So I
Oh,
would
I
have
know
loved to
you
be
would
there to
have.
welcome them.
So kind of an unfortunate deal today. The winds have kicked up,
Yep.
and then north of Castaic, huge fire has broken out up there. What do you know about that? And it's kind of a reminder that we need to stay on our toes down here.
Absolutely. So today we're not in a red flag day due to the calm local wind conditions, but we're all staying vigilant and we're asking residents to continue to remain vigilant. We had red flag days Monday afternoon through Tuesday at 10 p.m. due to the high winds. I asked the fire chief ahead of our call what he's expecting over the next few days, and it looks like we're seeing winds inland, but they're going to expect it to be mild in Laguna Beach, around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And we are also expecting some clouds and possibly a little bit of rain on Sunday. So that's what we're expecting right now. Of course, that we have to continue to remain vigilant over the next few days and beyond. But that's where we are right now. So we're hoping that it stays that projection is going to be accurate locally, and I mean some rain would be amazing if that comes true.
Sure, it's not where you sit in the middle of winter and you say like, "Gosh, would be so nice to get some rain and ruin some of our days," but that's exactly what we need. So good
Exactly.
stuff. Thank you. Well, I mentioned at the top that you were out of town last week. You flew to Washington, D.C. for the National Mayors Conference. Tell us about that. First time there? What it was?
Yeah, first time there, first time as mayor. It was a very productive conference. I went up there. There were several Orange County mayors, many of whom are fans of you, Tom, including Mayor Joe Stapleton from Newport Beach, Mayor John Stevens, your golf buddy from Costa Mesa.
Yeah.
We had the mayor of Anaheim, Ashley Aiken, the mayor of Santa Ana, mayor of Dana Point, mayor of Mission Viejo. So there was a good, solid group of Orange County representatives up there. And it's always good, I think, to learn from what are other cities doing and hear the best practices and just talk to people and have conversations. The most productive part of the trip was the California mayors, uh, a small group of us were able to meet with our two senators, Alex Padilla and then Adam Schiff, who was recently sworn in. And so I was able to speak and raise the issue of utility undergrounding because, as you know, that's a key priority. It's been a priority, for a long time in Laguna Beach, but especially in light of these fires that we're seeing. And I explained to the two senators how when I visited the Pacific Palisades, aftermath and spoke to our firefighters, how critical utility undergrounding was not only for wildfire prevention but also for as the firefighters were fighting the fire because they talked about when they don't know whether a line is energized or not, meaning it could explode, and that totally undermines the efforts. At the same time, you have evacuation issues. So I explained all that to the senators, and I asked for a simple regulatory change because we've been going for these FEMA grants, and the goal of these FEMA grants is to essentially prevent disasters, put money on the front end so you don't have to have disasters. And one of the challenges that we've been dealing with, we were ultimately able to address it with Laguna Canyon Road, is that since Edison is the owner of the infrastructure, there's been a requirement that they have to essentially put in the matching funds, and they ultimately were on Laguna Canyon Road. We got them to sign a letter, but for future undergrounding projects, it's easier if the city could provide the additional matching funds, perhaps getting paid back by Edison. So the senators were very open to that change. I think it's a common sense technical change that really nobody should be opposed to. So that was one of the issues that I raised, but they agreed about the need for undergrounding and the need for making it easier to leverage federal funds to do that. Yeah, and then it's an interesting time in Washington, D.C. Very cold, with the inauguration happening on Monday. I left on Sunday, but we started to see, the preparation for the inauguration. We also saw President Biden in one of his last speeches as president. He gave a speech to the mayor's conference, so it was very a productive trip, and I think I'm hoping that the meeting with the senators in particular will lead to some solutions at the federal level that could help us get more money for undergrounding.
Good. Sounds like a really productive meeting. So we had a change on Monday in DC.
Yep.
President Biden and two dramatic shifts from a longtime um, Democrat to a fairly conservative, pretty conservative Republican. Donald Trump made no secrets out of the fact that he was sitting down mandating changes almost immediately upon arriving into office. So, as mayor of Laguna Beach, does any of that stuff hit you? I mean, do you sit back and say, like, oh boy, that's going to be a problem, that's going to be an issue, or you just kind of continue on the way we are?
Well, I think that the good thing about local politics at the local level is that it's really not partisan. There's not a Democrat or Republican way to fully fund law enforcement or public safety or firefighters, or to build wells to create local water reliability, or to make sure our streets are paved and our parks are clean. I don't think those are Democrat or Republican issues, which is the nice thing about the local level. Of course, there will be significant changes with this new administration. And at the end of the day, in my role as the mayor and as a city council member, my goal is how can we uh, bring back resources for Laguna Beach. So I think fire, as I said earlier, I don't think preventing wildfires is a partisan issue. Both everyone agrees that we need to prevent wildfires, and we have faced significant threats. And so we will see what happens. At the same time, the first thing that you do when you are sworn in as a council member is you take an oath of office to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of California. So that's at the end of the day, that's sort of what guides me in terms of as we look at and think what's great about this country is the peaceful transfer of power. And so regardless of how you view the incoming president, I think the peaceful transfer of power is always something that we can celebrate because it's something that people have fought for over generations, and is critical to what makes America a great country.
Great. Just a quick personal note I want to throw in out to people out there. I got a nice little note from a Robin Rounaghi this past week about a little blood drive going on up at Laguna Beach High School this weekend. I believe it's on Saturday. It's done by the basketball team. I don't have all the details in front of me. We didn't talk about it in advance, but I encourage everybody to check into the blood drive and make it big. I know it's something that the basketball team gets behind, and I guess from what Robin's your mother, correct, Alex?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so what she had mentioned it is there was a family need at one point for blood and everything, and so the family has gotten pretty engaged in this. But it's a good thing for Laguna Beach. It's the type of thing that residents are known for. When there's a
Yep,
problem or an issue that comes up, people get engaged. So I encourage them to get engaged in the blood drive.
absolutely. My uncle's life was literally saved because of generous blood donors in the past, and thankfully he's okay. He doesn't need blood now, but there's other people that do, and there are shortages of blood. So if you're able to give blood, I would encourage you to do so.
And I know that in some of the paperwork, they did do appointments, but they also said that there was an issue with some of the appointments and just show up. They'll figure out how to stick something in your arm and get some blood out. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Alex, I appreciate your time. I know you're extremely busy these days, and I look forward to talking to you next week.
Looking forward to it, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you.